President Museveni proposed the introduction of 5 new courses at the Zonal Skilling Hub to expand the scope of market supply and create more employment opportunities for the youth. Spinning and weaving, food processing, woodwork, motor mechanics, and ceramics are some of the courses he was introduced to, alongside the 4-acre model of farming. The government has adopted the Icelandic drug prevention model to address the growing concern related to mental health and drug abuse in the country. The Commissioner of Women's Affairs at the Ministry of Gender, Culture and Social Development stated that the model has been tested and proven effective in tackling this issue. The 2023 World Health Organization report ranked Uganda second globally for drug abuse, a rising significant concern among government officials. Jackie Chandiru, a Ugandan artist recovering from the drug abuse, revealed that she used the drug for 7 years. Chandiru, who believes that God gave her a second chance, attributes her recovery to dedicated prayer and counseling. Similar cases of drug abuse have been identified as leading factors fueling the rising number of juveniles in remand homes across the country. And finally, from the local scene, the Amnesty Commission has granted amnesty to 25 former Allied Democratic Forces ADF militants who surrendered to UPDF during the ongoing Operation Suje in the eastern part of Democratic Republic of Congo and some parts of Uganda. The pardoned individuals included 20 Congolese nationals and 5 Ugandans, comprising 15 male and 5 females. Following the Operation Suje by the Uganda People's Defense Forces against the ADF in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, some rebels surrendered to Ugandan forces. They renounced rebellion and involvement in rebel activities. They were enrolled in various social support and rehabilitation, and also expressed determination to be loyal citizens. The Uganda Amnesty Commission granted them and allowed these to return, and also allowed them to fully integrate into civil life. The government has also committed to working with the government of DRC to repatriate Congolese returnees. These former rebels have shared their experience of involvement in rebel activities and circumstances that led to their participation in subversive actions.
Well, on the international scene, it's getting heated in the Russia-Ukraine war as Ukraine has fired US-supplied longer-range missiles at the Russian territory for the first time. The Russian government said a day after Washington gave its permission for such attacks. US officials also confirmed use of the Army tactical missile system to CBS News, the BBC's US partner. Ukraine has not commented yet. Russia's defense ministry says the strike had targeted the Bryansk region bordering Ukraine to the north on Tuesday morning. It said 5 missiles had been shot down and 1 had caused damage, with its fragments starting a fire at a military facility. But 2 US officials said initial indications suggested Russia had intercepted just 2 missiles out of around 8 fired by Ukraine. The BBC has not been able to independently verify the contradicting figures. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused Washington of trying to escalate the conflict. And moving on, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, launched the 6th test of his SpaceX rocket, with United States President-elect Donald Trump joining him to watch. Trump and Musk traveled to Brownsville, Texas on Tuesday to attend the launch of the giant Starship rocket at SpaceX's test site in nearby Boca Chica. The rocket lifted off shortly after 5 p.m., which is 23 hours GMT, but SpaceX chose to abort a planned attempt to catch the first state booster of the rocket using the chopstick technique, instead allowing it to fall into the ocean. The last Starship test flight in October made headlines after the Super Heavy booster made a stunning return to the launch site, where it was captured mid-air by a pair of giant mechanical chopstick arms attached to SpaceX's launch tower. Trump's attendance is part of a growing bond with Musk, the owner of SpaceX, the electric car maker Tesla, and the social media platform X, who is a strong political supporter, having spent close to $130 million to help get the former president re-elected. And finally, Kenya's Catholic Church has rejected a donation of about $40,000, approximately £32,000, made by President William Ruto. He offered the money towards the building of a priest's house and as a gift to the choir during Mass on Sunday at the Soweto Catholic Church in the capital, Nairobi. The donation followed a recent statement by Catholic bishops who had hit out at the government for failing to fulfill their electoral promises. Churches have been under pressure this year from young anti-tax protesters who have accused them of being too close to politicians. Following Ruto's much publicized donation on Sunday, many Kenyans urged the Catholic Church to reject the money. The president had given around 2.6 million Kenya shillings, which is around 20,000 US dollars or 16,000 pounds in cash, pledged the rest of the money later and promised to give the parish a bus. The Catholic Archbishop of Nairobi, Philip Anyolo, said the cash would be returned over ethical concerns and the need to safeguard the church from being used for political purposes. Interesting news coming in from Kenya. I hope that some people from some parts of the world can borrow the whole tree. Oh, Jerem, what do you have for us in the press review?
Well, corrupt civil servants are set to lose pension according to a new development. This is with the New Vision today. 5,000 of the ghost workers deleted from payroll, and that report is also in the New Vision. Then the New Vision is showing you who is the next deputy chief justice. There are 6 faces at the front page of the New Vision of the likely individuals who will be taking on the deputy chief justice's role or office. Then why coffee registration deadline was pushed, and then the CDF and Turkish envoy discuss growing ties as Hamis Chigundu speaks out on Nachifubo channel. President Museveni commissions zonal presidential skilling hub. That report is with the New Vision as well. Then off to the Daily Monitor. Besigye missing in Nairobi. Where is he? The Daily Monitor last evening learned that the veteran opposition leader was last seen on Saturday evening at an apartment complex on Riverside Drive in the Westlands area of the Kenyan capital, where he had gone to see an identified person. Now also Mao's transition plan grinds to a halt. Hired to midwife a political transition. The Justice and Constitutional Affairs Minister Norbert Mao has now threatened to trigger a divorce if his role continues to be curtailed by red tape. Then business pay TV services lose over 1 million customers in 2 years. That report is in the Daily Monitor. Now, from taxi madness to passenger train chaos, find about the return of the train system. While the passenger train has helped many save heavily on transport fares, the numbers that use the coaches have made it a nightmare for many commuters. Messy transport system, the Daily Monitor says. In the home's perspective, what to do if your property fails to sell. Then in Kenya, things fall apart. Scorecard, President to deliver State of the Nation address tomorrow to outline administration success plans. And by the look of things, county cash crisis, the Treasury rules out extra 20 billion Kenyan shillings as governors threaten shutdown. The university stalemate, lecturers strike hits learning amid furore over new funding model. Then healthcare mess. Is it SHIF or SHA? Teething problems persist a month after rollout. Now in politics, Waigachangwa allies are avoiding all-out war against Kindiki. Then in athletics, Haile Gebrselassie, shoe technology has revolutionized distance running. Then in the Daily Nation still, Ruto reads the Riot Act to his ministers and the permanent secretaries. Then Moi University, inside multi-million shilling deals that anti-graft agency is investigating. Then lastly, from the press review is the Citizen from Tanzania. Policy review targets real estate oversight. The government is reviewing the land policy to keep pace with the growth of the real estate industry and pave the way for a regulatory body that will oversee the industry. Then more pulled from Kariako Rabo Alive. More of that is in the Citizen. Then Chadema rules out boycott as poll campaign start. Then there's also a report on how government plans to boost mineral value addition. Then in matters sport, Taifa Stars reach AFCON finals for the 4th time. The national football team, Taifa Stars, will next year play in the African Cup of Nations finals for the 4th time after edging out Guinea in a nail-biting qualifying match in Dar es Salaam. That is courtesy of a goal from Simon Musuva in the 61st minute. Well, that does it for our press review this morning.
Well, now coming back from the press review, we'll leave you with the inspiration song of the day. But the conversation we had earlier when we started the show, that is regarding the Marriage Bill 2024, is what we are coming back with in the newsreel, because the gentlemen have to share their views. And I, as the lady on the team, I'll be representing. So stick around, we'll be right back.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The process of getting registered so that your marriage can be recognized by the state as a legal entity. So I believe you don't have to break the bank. You do not have to have millions or hundreds of millions of money for you to get married if you intend to get married. Now, in the new marriage bill, it provides for recognition of cohabiting couples. And the suggestion is that if people have been cohabiting for a given period of time, then they should be recognized by the state as a legal marriage. And as a woman, I think this is fair, because at the end of the day, men are the gatekeepers of marriage. And if they decide that they are moving on without having to legally recognize you after 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, there is nothing you can do to stop them as a woman. So probably when the law comes into force, if it comes into force, that is, then there will be protection for women, because let's face it, and the way we are biologically engineered, after a given period of time, the shelf life goes down for a woman as she ages. Now imagine spending 10 years with this gentleman, and after 10 years he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to marry someone else. You're not the person I wanted to get married to. You're not the woman of my dreams. So you can imagine how that makes a woman feel. But that being said, that's the note we've started the morning with. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. I'd like to go to Studio B and check on Chirabo Robert Nyonyintano, because one thing is for sure, Chirabo is not very excited about some of the clauses in this marriage bill. And if it were to become law, I believe he has a few things he contends with. Good morning, Chirabo.
Olive.
Yes.
You see, this marriage bill one time had a domestic whatever, then marriage and divorce. Why it is finding so hard to see the light of day is that when some men critically analyze some of the proposals in it, one thing that comes out, it is against them. And I'll give an example of just what you've talked about. Say if you say after 5 years, then we are considered as a legal marriage. You know what may happen?
What may happen?
As I see we are clocking 5 years and the law is going to nab me, I become a nuisance to do away with you before that time comes. Yet we've lived in an environment where we've seen people born, grow, even their parents have grandchildren when they have been cohabiting. So certain things, matter of the heart, feelings,
Joe, I
regulating
need to
them.
ask you a question. Just because everyone is doing it, does it mean it's okay?
Now, how are you going to tell someone that 5 years have elapsed, therefore you're legally married, and this person can go to NIRA, have that registered as a marriage, a result of cohabitation? Because I've seen in the Western world, people can stay together for as long as some time until they reach that particular point of saying, now I propose to you marriage.
Well, but we will delve deeper into this conversation later on in our newsreel. So at 7, stick around with us so that we have this conversation, because it's going to be heated. But I would like to hear your views regarding the same. Good morning, Gerald. Why are you so calm, collected? Oh, sorry.
Basing on the night.
Okay.
But, besides that, Robert has mentioned something about the married
Uganda. In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, thank you for sticking around. I believe that if you've been with us since when we started, you are partly here because of the conversation that is ensuing, and that is the Marriage Bill 2024 that was presented to Parliament by Toro Woman Member of Parliament Sarah Opendi. And the bill is seeking to address many issues that we are going to look into, but also there is a lot of discontent from men, because some of them are of the view that the bill is seeking to protect one gender, but women are also saying we need this protection, though overall the bill will be protecting both partners in certain ways, both partners in one way or another, depending on the issue at hand. So we are delving right into it. I'm Olive Monica Najuma with Joram Paul Sonko and Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono. Now, Chirabo, coming to you straight, please give us an overview of what this bill is aiming to address.
Well, according to the mover, that is a Toro Woman Member of Parliament, Honorable Sarah Opendi, it seeks to protect spouses and children in the first place. Spouses and children. And how, one, the bill proposes that for anyone to wed, to be part of a marriage of a child below 18 years, they'll serve 10 years imprisonment. So there one would say it protects children. But also the bill looks at an area where it mentions how to handle property in case a marriage comes to an end. The bill also proposes, you know, we've been having civil marriages and they are still conducted.
Yes.
But civil marriages have been monogamous, not polygamous. So the bill seeks to have civil marriages also polygamous.
Huh?
Where if you go for civil marriage, according to the current law, it is one woman. But now with this bill, if I go for a civil marriage, I can get my Olive, I have my Ajara, and another. Now, that is where there's a bit of contention, where people are saying, but how? There are other forms of marriages that are polygamous. Why are you also looking in this area that has been monogamous? And one says now men will not run to church. They will go for civil marriages. The bill, I want to look at some of the clauses that are annoying me. The bill seeks that only DNA of a child will be conducted after a court order. And the mover says that where are we disorganizing society? Where are we, even most of us, on the stairs of Parliament, she said, most of us, if we are to go back and carry on DNAs, we may find that we don't belong to these families. And what will that mean to our nation? So let's make DNA very hard for someone to carry on so that we have peace in the families. Now, I don't know what that means in one way or the other. The bill also goes ahead to state that actually, and that is another contentious issue, when people cohabit for a given time, legally they will be recognized and one can go to NERA and process a certificate of marriage. Now, here people are also saying church marriage, traditional marriage cannot be equated to people who have just spent time together and you give them the full weight, because I think there are about 6 forms of marriages under this proposed bill. And each of these marriages weigh the same weight. If I have a church marriage or a Christian marriage, if I have a traditional marriage, the kuanjura kuhingira, whatever, if I have my Islamic marriage, if I have a Hindu marriage, all these marriages are equal and of the same value. Now, but all these marriages have what you put in. For example, traditional marriage, you pay dowry. Church marriage, they don't require dowry, but there's a parent's consent. Now here we are coming at people who've simply spent time together, and now because the people who can witness they have been there, they are at the same footing, like someone who did an introduction, went through all that, and even expenditures as well, and they can be, before the law, presented as a couple. That is also raising a bit of concern to a number of people. Okay,
Robert, the other question here is the bill also seeking to outlaw dowry, or it wants the status quo to remain as is?
Well, the bill on dowry, the only status that is there is you cannot claim dowry. You know? Well,
but some cultures actually have that. If you're divorcing their daughter, you, in some cultures, you take back, or you can take back what you gave and bring their daughter back.
Now, the bill is looking at dowry in a different way. It's looking at dowry as a token of appreciation.
Which it is.
A token of appreciation, not buying a woman. Because previously dowry has been looked at buying, I would say, Olive na kwanjula na kugula na kusasule wamwe.
Okay. What are the other provisions in the bill?
Well, I was looking at the outstandings that I think the public is...
How haven't you talked about equal rights to property? Because according to the bill, it says that both partners should have equal rights to property, even if one's contribution was non-financial. The bill recognizes that domestic work, child rearing, and other non-monetary efforts are just as valuable as monetary contributions. Jerome, I think this is where you come in because you're burning.
I'm going to give you an example of a footballer, a Moroccan footballer. The footballer is currently playing in Paris. And when you read that, it actually took me back. I think that story trended in 2022, where the girlfriend or the wife happened to ask for divorce simply because she knew that after divorce, she's going to get money and they are going to share the property. Little did she know that the gentleman had actually written everything belonging to him into the mother's name. Why am I bringing in that? You see, when you look at the Western nations, the same kind of thing happens during separation. And I'm only worried about the men in this situation because the women we are having in our generation today, some of them get into marriage with an effort of getting money out of it. So I can only imagine if at all someone gets into a marriage with a woman and after a period of time, you're hearing they are going to divorce only for this man who has toiled and worked for his property for, let's say, 20, 30 years to lose half of it to a person simply because this person is, according to the bill, this person is supposed to share some part of it if there is an element of divorce. And please do not, in such situations, you will find that many women will find themselves in condition, will actually set conditions of divorce simply because they know that once we divorce, I'm taking half of your property. And when you look at some of the provisions here about divorce, they say it prohibits divorce within the first year of marriage, meaning this person can actually stay with you for, let's say, 2 years, only for the second year for them to come out and say, well, I think we need to go, I think we need to divorce, we need to part ways. So I feel that particular proposal within the bill is a little bit harsh on the men, because I will tell you, Olive, most of, when you look at the change in generations today, most of the women who have a lot of money, many do not desire to get married. Many
do you think they don't desire to get married simply because they don't want to share their money?
No,
or because money has accorded them a certain level of independence?
Money kind of gives them that level of independence. And for the men who have money and find themselves wanting to marry, you'll find that most of the women they're marrying are not in these marriages because they love them, but because they have a special status that
maybe
they have.
I just want to remind you of some cases here.
Yes.
A very interesting one. If you remember, on this very, I think, on April 25th, when court awarded curtains and 1 cow to a lady who had spent in a marriage of 18 years. You know? Yes. It was a very interesting case. She was only given 1 cow and curtains, and I think she was married to Paul Kagwa, and this was before Justice Alice Komuhanji, who ruled that Miss Peace Uria be given curtains and 1 cow. Now.
Okay. Robert, in this case, I believe that it should be case by case, and courts are usually, I think, fair to a degree, because according to the bill, it says domestic work, child rearing, and other non-monetary efforts are just as valuable as monetary contributions. Here is where I want to bring in, bring this in. Gentlemen, if I may, in most cases in marriages, gentlemen ask their wives not to work, stay home, and raise children. Now, as a woman, I will tell you that raising children is not a walk in the park. Many husbands, when they are left with the children at home, especially in the first 10 years, you will find that children under 5 are really hard to handle. A wife goes away for a day and the man is running crazy. Why? Because he really cannot handle the children. Now, some families have 2, 3, 4, 5 children, and all of these children are being taken care of by the wife. In some homes, the gentlemen go to an extent of saying, we don't need a maid, okay? So after she has given you all these years, taking care of the children, are you gentlemen meaning to tell me that she must take curtains and a cow?
Olive, regardless of any situation, you cannot equate that to the property rights someone has worked for close to 10 to 15 years.
So my question is it okay to give someone that has sacrificed work, mainly, by the way, many times when women don't work, the gentlemen have asked them not to work. So 18 years later, 20 years later, you're telling her to walk away with nothing.
Olive, you see, there are situations where in families where the man and the woman have actually contributed to the growth of their empires, where the woman is doing her marital duties, but at the same time pushing for, let's say, maybe they are running a business with the gentleman. In such situations, I can fully understand. But there are men who have independently grown their businesses, their careers. It would be very, very harsh on them to lose half of their property, regardless of the situation here. Because it will be really
I will
harsh.
interject.
I agree with Joram.
I will interject,
It will be harsh.
And we have a responsibility.
I will interject here. And I need to ask a question here. When you say he independently worked, I don't disagree with that fact. But do you also recognize that because he had someone else tending to his other affairs, he was able to focus and independently, in quotes, work for that property? What do you say about that, Robert?
Now, first and foremost, earlier on I said if we tend to regulate certain things, we may not have the best of it. Look, there is what we call responsibilities. Primarily, childbearing cannot be done by a man.
We are not talking about bearing.
Then,
we're talking about
looking after these children.
Yes, it can't be done by a man.
Children, I'm getting to that still. Looking after these children. I know families where even a man, so I'm going to hustle, work it out, and you're doing your responsibility of bringing up our children. Now, we are making regulations for society that has changed. Women that used to stay home, and would say you could quantify that and bring it into monetary. She was staying home, but they weren't buying food. She would look after the children, but cultivate the garden.
That was also work.
That was work.
And
now
actually, Cherabo, if we are to go back to today's, today,
she's staying home, looking after these children, and the man has gone to work. Now, after 15 years, even whatever this person has possessed, there is no evidence of this one's contribution.
Cherabo, I want us to broaden
how do you
this
want
conversation.
To take 50-50?
Cherabo, I would like for us to broaden this conversation and not only look at, let's say, corporate men like you, and not only look at men that are maybe CEOs or heads of departments somewhere. I want us to broaden the conversation and bring in couples that are spread across the country, and you'll find that the biggest majority of that are not even in urban centers. And you'll find that
many of them are not married legally.
Many of them, first of all, are not married legally, thank you, Joram, but also
so they have
property
by default.
They have property. The women are tilling the land, growing crops, and guess who sells the crops and gets
that becomes very difficult to break, because
I'm still breaking
if
it down for you, Joram.
If there is no legality of the union, if you separate, someone can easily say, where did we legally get married?
That's what
we were just friends.
Gentlemen, you're not allowing me. Allow me to come to the point. So the women are tilling the land. Let's say here the couple is actually legally married, because there are also those that are legally married. The women are tilling the land. There is research to this effect that many women, especially in rural areas, are tilling the land, growing crops, but then the husbands are selling whatever produce is coming off that land and not giving women money. When the time comes to sell that land that the woman has worked for a long time, she will still not get a share. So is this law not protecting, shouldn't this law protect a woman of that nature? Because I don't want us to look at this bill only in the lenses of corporate people or men that are rich and women are poor. I want us to look at all couples across the board.
You see, Olive, the most difficult part is for the people who are not in that space that you've used. That if someone is let's say, away from the urban centers, and like you're saying, they're not maybe in the corporate world, or they're not running a business.
Because we seem to think that only corporate people are married.
But when you look at the sample space of the people you're using, these are people who are either just cohabiting, and it was just a family affair where they came out and said, okay, since our daughter is with you, we are giving you our daughter, you can go with them. And this is the setting in most of the rural areas. So in most cases, once these people are together for
a big setting also
10,
in urban centers, even among
okay, it happens a lot.
People. But
when it comes to them separating, it doesn't even need them to call families. You'll just hear someone saying, I separated with Mr. Sonko, who I have been with for 10 years. We weren't married, but we had children together for 10, 15 years. Now, in such a situation, I doubt if even the bill can protect anyone in such a situation.
What if they are married?
You're not married. No, if you are married, again, it will be unfair for the man, I will tell you. Because if someone is property, and Olive, I'm giving this example as, unless the woman has got the biggest, percentage of ownership on something or the property, breaking it down becomes easy. So but if it's a half and half, you're really being harsh on the man. And
so at the end of the day, gentlemen, if you may allow me, at the end of the day, you're saying that if a woman has not financially contributed to property, she should get nothing in the event that the marriage ends.
Not nothing. She shouldn't get 50% or half.
But not a 50, because we should find methodologies of quantifying and dividing wealth. Because we are looking at a generation of where I have a lot of moral decadency. We are looking at a generation where I have very crafty people. And we don't want this bill to be a source why people are going to kill each other in the name of protecting property.
Okay, let's
because
move
it's
on.
a source of income.
Okay,
because a person is going to run into your life.
By the way, there's a funny provision within the bill, Olive, that talks about falsely claiming to be married. And it has been tabbed as justification of marriage, that there are people who falsely claim to be married and for reasons known to them. And if anyone is convicted of this offense, they could face 3 years in prison.
How exactly do people
and a fine of 10 million. They're actually saying that there are people who claim to be married to someone. That you may come out and say, I am married to this person, where there is no document whatsoever that proves that you're married. Or even to the men who come out and say, that is my wife.
What if we've been cohabiting?
And,
but cohabitation is not marriage.
Okay, now that brings us to the next point.
And when it comes to also the bit of the biogamy, now the bigamy rather, which is something that the bill is also trying to put an end to, saying that for anyone who marries someone who is already in a monogamous marriage, you are also likely to face a 10 million Ugandan shillings fine and jail sentence as well.
Well, bigamy is illegal in every part of the world, but in the case of Uganda, that is if someone is in a monogamous marriage, that is if they were married in court, that is civil marriage, or they were married in church, because even church is monogamous. Now, there are other marriages, types of marriages in Uganda, by the way. Joram, please tell us about the types of marriages that are recognized by the government of Uganda.
Now, also with the bill, the nature of marriage here, they look at one, civil marriage, Christian marriage. So the Christian marriage encompasses all the religious denominations under Christianity. Then there is Hindu marriage. There is nature of Baha'i marriage. And then there is the Islamic marriage. So these are the marriages that are being considered here. So customary is the normal traditional. Then there is the civil marriage, which is also likely to be polygamous if the bill is passed. And then you get to Christian marriage. That is, of course, that one is highly dependent on the rules and regulations and, of course, what the Christian doctrines write about it. Then the nature of Baha'i marriage, then the Islamic marriage, which of course Islamic marriage is one that allows men to have close to 4 women, if at all they can manage to have to handle and take care of them.
I think that is a clause many men miss, because there is an if, and in most cases that if is ignored. But now, Chirabo, the contentious part about DNA testing, where the mover of the bill, Sarah Opende, is proposing that a man should not seek DNA testing without a court order.
I spent nights thinking and wondering why Sarah Opendi, the mover of this bill, finds that useful into this clause. Because for sure, we are seeking for justice in this bill. We are seeking to protect children and spouses. Then why are we seeking to cheat one sex? Because I feel our law should be universal. Now, first and foremost, what takes us to DNA? Because there have been mistrust between these two couples. And remember, no woman, if there are very few women that will be interested in DNA. Olive, if you're married to Joram Sonko and you have 5 children, you're well aware and know who the fathers of these children are, not so?
Right.
But Joram is the one who has issues. That's why in Buganda there's a saying that you may never know who your right father is.
Until your mom is dead.
Until your mom is dead. So, making us go through courts of law to get a court order. Remember, our justice system is expensive, hectic, and of course there's so much delay is involved there. Now, when Sarah Opendi says that to have peace in the home, how am I going to have peace in a home when I have a child I suspect is not mine? How are we going to have peace in a home when after Joram has finished university, then I discover Joram was not my child, but I've labored, have toiled to see Joram through school?
So, Chirabo, what would you suggest as the alternative to that proposal?
DNA should be done at birth point. That if I was to contribute seriously, we should empower every hospital. First, like we have a policy on this is it, maternal. When you're going to, when a woman gets pregnant,
yes,
you go with your husband. They do the checking and, you know, going together. It's a policy in many hospitals.
Yes.
The couple comes together. So it should also be a policy that for every child born, before getting a NIN,
I actually agree with that proposal, because at the end of the day, there are men who are also using, especially, I think where the Member of Parliament is coming from, the cases we had last year, we had a few where some men wanted to get out. It was like a jail-free card, get out of jail-free card. Some of them wanted to get out of responsibility and falsified DNA results so that they come off as not the biological fathers, although majority didn't falsify. So for me, if DNA is done at birth, I'm actually in agreement with that. Joram, what do you say about that?
Well, it is okay, because we've seen scenarios where people have to take care of their children, of someone else's child.
Also, the children are not protected.
Are never protected
exactly.
in such situations. Maybe, like Chirabo has mentioned, that if you are to do the DNA, then you do it at childbirth or not do it again. Because I do understand where the Honourable is coming from. From her school of thought is that many marriages or families are being destroyed simply because after, let's say, 20 years of a father taking care of or paying school fees for this child and taking care of these children, only to realize that these are not my biological children. At the end of the day, the children
are broken.
Yeah, the children are
broken. The man is broken.
The man is broken.
Yes.
And, well, families are completely destroyed.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, the woman has been keeping this as a secret. So on the side of the Honourable, it is breaking the marriages.
So we rather
and
don't.
Couples. So, and, well, her saying we should not do the DNA, well, it is highly debatable, because I'll tell you,
that's wrong.
You know, generations have really changed. You never know who you're having as your wife or your
husband. I mean,
so things are really difficult to tell these days. Someone stays with you for 10 years while you are grooming and taking care of children that don't belong to you, and they will never tell you.
And as a woman, I am in agreement with DNA being, actually, this has been my train of thought since this DNA debacle came to the fore, that hospitals should be empowered to be able to carry out DNA testing at birth. Although even there, I mean, we have had children switched at birth where a woman gives birth to a live baby and then she's given a dead baby because her baby has been sold. We've had cases like this. So I don't know if when hospitals are empowered that we won't still have falsification of DNA results, but I believe rather than finding out 15, 20 years later that these children are not yours and the children finding out that they belong to another family, it's important that this is done at birth, though of course it is debatable, because I've also had instances where when the husband suggested DNA, not because he doubts the wife, but he's like, I just want to be sure, the wife is like, go ahead and have the test. But if you find they are yours, the marriage is done.
And also, we've been doing DNA.
Yes.
And you get your results and keep them to yourself. But if I'm going to get a court order, automatically, the spouse, my better half, will know. You do your DNA.
Why are you doing the DNA and keeping the results to yourself? Why?
Because just imagine I walk in today and I'm telling you, let me take these children. You're like, Robert, what are you up to? I'm getting a court order. We need to do a DNA test here. You know, there's a way you think I'm not trusting you. Yet it is okay for someone.
Let's call it a spade. Let's call a spade a spade,
okay for
Robert.
a man to be
if
sure.
you want to do a DNA test, it means you don't trust me.
It's not that I don't trust you. It's not that I don't trust you. Certain things could have happened along the way. Because we've seen the firstborn is either yours or not yours, or the firstborn is yours, the second is yours. In the middle there, shit happened, then the fifthborn is yours, then, you know, so these things.
Okay, Jerome, also in the bill, there is a proposal that we have a national marriage registry where people can easily check and find out who is married, and we can, she proposes that we can have this registry online, whereby if Jerome Paul says he's interested in me, I go to the marriage registry and check. You know how we used to have phone directorates where you just find people's phone numbers or company phone numbers? So here, you go to the marriage registry online, pay a certain fee, type in Jerome Paul Sonko, and if it comes out he's not married, we proceed. If it comes out he's single, rather married, we call it a day. What do you say about that?
Yes, that is very important, because people are confessing things in this generation,
So,
in this day and age.
Yes.
Someone comes out and says, I didn't know. I've just recently there was an audio that leaked of a certain celebrity who said, I didn't know that that the gentleman was married. So you can only imagine such those kinds of confessions. Someone saying, I didn't know you were married, and I didn't know that he had children, I didn't know he had kids with you. So in such circumstances, I feel he's right, that before you engage into any marital kind of conversations, you first find out with the registry, or if at all this person was married and they divorced, maybe then you can continue.
Yes.
Rather than coming out to tell us that I didn't know this person was married.
There is also cases where people have separated, no divorce officially, and then later on he meets this woman, doesn't tell her, or she doesn't tell him that she was once married, and then later on when he wants to formalize things, that's when she's like, oh, by the way, I'm still married.
So I think that is a good one.
Okay.
I would highly back it, because we need to at least have some clarity in some of these situations, so that people do not mess up at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you, Jerome. Now, Chirabo, we have run out of time, but in a minute, there is the case about spousal gifts. The bill seeks to address that any gifts exchanged during a marriage should not be called back in the case of divorce. So you bought me a car, you bought me land, and because we are getting divorced, you want your stuff back.
Ugandan men are taking back cars these days.
Chirabo.
Now,
In a minute, because we actually less than a minute as your last remarks.
let's eliminate dowry so that they are really gifts, not to pretend.
No, I'm talking about spousal gifts. Let's get away from dowry. You're married, and in the course of the marriage, you buy me a house, you buy me a car, you buy me land. But because we are getting divorced, now you want everything that you've bought me in the course of the marriage back.
Why would you want it back? I 100% support that. People sometimes get overexcited. So this law will help them look ahead of time and do things properly. Because if you give someone a gift, why do you recall it back?
Well, it's
it was a
expensive.
gift. We had our time, we break up, then bring the money injected in you. Are you mad? I think I support that.
Okay, we have had quite a beautiful conversation regarding the proposed marriage and divorce bill. It's ongoing in Parliament. We are yet to know where it's going to end. It seeks to, first of all, legalize cohabitation, that if a couple has been cohabiting for a given period of time, then it should be recognized as a married couple. But also it seeks to look at gifts that are exchanged during a marriage. It seeks to look at DNA testing, where the mover of the bill is saying that for a man to seek for a DNA test, he should first get a court order, and so much more is entailed in this bill. We'll be following the proceedings and see where it will end, and whether or not at some point the president may sign it into law. But for now, we take a short break.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Uganda being the Pearl of Africa, it is blessed with the big game. What are the big game? These are the 5 most or strongest animals in the world. When we talk about the big game, we are definitely talking about the lions, the king of the jungle, the buffaloes, elephants, rhinos, and the leopard. Today we are blessed that we are exploring the kings of the jungle and those other lions. We are at Uwek, the only, okay, not the only, but the major exosuit that we have in the country. It is a home to 13 lions. Some of them have been bled from here, and others were just rescued from different areas, maybe like Sophie, who was rescued from Action Falls and brought here. She was hand-raised. But something that is most amazing about these lions at Uwek is the hand-raising of these lions. Did you know that you can hand-raise lions? Like you feed them with formula that is maybe they've made research and known what is contained in the breast milk of a lion, and they mix formula that can be fed on by these lions. So you hand raise lions, and maybe at about 3 months or 4 months, then that is the time they start introducing them to maybe minced meat and introducing them to soft meat. But it is exciting to know that you can actually rescue a lion from the wild and then hand raise it, and you feed it to see that it doesn't die out. However, we cannot say that there are not cases where lions have been hand raised and they still fail to make it, but this is one way that shows that there is a lot as humans that we can do to conserve the environment, but also to preserve the wildlife for the future generation. So here at Uwek, you see how lions are so much taken care of, the concern that they have, the medication they get, the concern, the environment, how they clean their places where they stay. It is just exciting to know that there is an eccentricity in Uganda where they take care of this wildlife, these wild lions, and they live to their full capacity as they would live in the wild. So if you haven't taken time to explore or to visit Uwe, this is one place that you're sure, you do not doubt that when you come here to work, you're definitely going to see these lions. Hi, Amy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Fine,
It's
thank you.
nice to know that we are going to have some good interactions and discussions about the species at Uwe.
Yes, my name is Aine Magara Anwell, and I'm a zookeeper here at Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center. I've been here for 3 years, keeping lions, rhinos, different wildlife. Lions are among the top game people travel across countries to look at. They're magnificent animals. They are associated with power. They are kings of jungles. They are roars. Their size. They are very, very magnificent animals to look at. And most tourists on every safari, in every conservation area, they look forward to looking at the lions, and also them being the biggest cats that we have in Africa. They are also associated with teamwork because they usually hunt in very, very huge groups. But also, lions are also, the fact that males do less of the hunting and females do most of the hunting. It excites people that the females do most of the work, but the males eat first. Yeah, just like most African homes, I guess, or most homes.
That is unfair.
I guess so. Yeah. So the breeding of lions outside their natural environment, something not very challenging, because for animals just like people, in order to breed, you should have food, and the right sexual ratios. So if you have a male and a female and they are feeding well and they are well cared for, they will breed. And usually lions, the females reach sexual maturity at around 4 years. Males go up to 5 to 6 years. However, those in captivity reach sexual maturity at a very early age. We've seen male lions like Africa reaching sexual maturity at even 3 years, being able to father children or being able to father cubs. So and the reason being that when they are here in a captive environment, they eat on a daily basis. So they mature very fast compared to their counterparts in the wild. So they can easily breed in captivity than in the wild. But also in the captive environment, all conditions are controlled. It gets sick, immediately intervene. And most people ask me, how do they medicate lions, their lions. So mostly we medicate through food. Depending on the condition or depending on the assessment of the doctors, you can either through food or you can put them to sleep and you work on them. Yeah. So it is, but also the rate at which lions die in the natural environment is alarming. Almost 1 out of 3 die. They don't reach maturity. But here you can have 5 cubs and all the cubs grow because they will eat, the mother will breastfeed. But even if the mother doesn't want to breastfeed, we do what we call hand raising. Some of the lions here have been hand raised on formulas. There is a formula for cats called S-Brac. So some of the ones that are rescued, or sometimes the female lions in captivity have what we call poor mother abilities. They fail to raise a young one. So we come in as humans and we hand raise them. A lion like Ali Upareria, he was hand raised, and there she is. There he is, probably 3 years. Yeah.
So at work, you can actually engage in so many activities that can actually get you closer to these wild animals. And one of them that has been common is the behind the scenes experience. But today I got to learn that there is also another activity that is dubbed Keeper for a Day. So this day you come and be a zookeeper just for one day, from morning to evening. You engage with the zookeepers, the educators, you engage with vets here. So you see how they take on their daily lives, how do they clean, how do they feed these animals. So you can also have that experience. You be a zookeeper for a day. Well, giving you a travel tip for today, it is quite simple. The fact that we are in the zoo, we are still telling you that when you visit such places, please make sure that you listen. Listen to your instructors, listen to your educators. Some of the times that you visit these places, they can tell you, don't go here. This place is restricted, but you also insist to go there. But if something happens to you, so just make sure that you listen to your instructors or your guide as you explore the beautiful wildlife species that reside in Uwek. Thank you so much. We still have a lot that is coming in from Uwek. We shall take you around the whole zoo, just at the comfort of your desk. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning and thank you very much for sticking around. It's now time for us to check into the world of business. Starting off with the Energy Manifesto. The National Resistance Movement, NRM Manifesto Week, commenced yesterday, marking a significant period for Uganda's government as it showcases across various ministries, showcasing achievements and successes, as well as some bit of the challenges here and there. The 3-week event will culminate on the 5th of December 2024, with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development taking the lead in presenting its accomplishments. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development presented progress in energy development, sustainable petroleum resource management and mineral development programs. Now, when you look at how far they've come, power generation capacity has increased from 984 megawatts in 2017 to 2,052 megawatts to date, attributed to the successful commissioning of projects like the Karuma Dam. Now, in the same spirit, the ministry aims to boost this capacity to 3,500 megawatts by 2026, and then also 2 million households are now connected to the grid as part of the government's efforts to enhance electricity access. This has also increased modern energy services access to about 24%, to a target of 60% come 2025. The recently enacted Mining and Minerals Act of 2022 will also enhance investment, value addition and local participation in the mining sector. And then there is also a notable development in the energy sector, which is the impending transition from Umeme Limited to the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited by January 2025. And then also when you look at the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, UEDCL, is expected to borrow approximately $255 million US. That is about 943 billion Ugandan shillings for this buyout, and an additional $210 million US, approximately 777 billion shillings for network expansion. Now, in the petroleum sector, drilling activities in the Albertine region have seen 72 out of 457 planned wells already drilled. Then the East African crude oil pipeline project is also under construction, facilitating the transportation of crude oil to international markets as exploration efforts expand in two regions like the Moroto-Kadam and Choga regions. Uganda is also aiming to enhance its petroleum reserves and extend production beyond 25 years. Now, elsewhere, Minister for Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Francis Mwebesa, has lauded Ashok Leyland for investing in Uganda. He was launching Phoenix, a new vehicle model by Ashok Leyland, and the introduction of their new distributor, Modern Automobiles Limited. Now, Rajesh, Senior Vice President of the International Operations at Ashok Leyland, emphasized the company's commitment to expand markets and foster partnerships with local investors under the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda initiative. The Ugandan government has established industrial parks to create employment for the growing number of graduates in the country, but the minister further commended Ashok Leyland for the investment and the launch of the Phoenix vehicle model and the role it will play in advancing the local economy. Now, Ashok Leyland's initiative aims to expand its market reach, improve customer satisfaction, create jobs and boost sales in Uganda. Then our focus now turns to what is happening at the Nachivubo channel, because in a joint meeting between Kampala City Council Authority and Ham Enterprises, all works at the Jugula channel Nachivubo have been ordered to stop in order to first assess the impact of this controversial project and what it has on the existing infrastructure around Owino. Now, the agreement has been reached after two parties led by the acting KCCA Director Frank Rusa and Hamis Chigundu held a bilateral meeting at the KCCA offices in Kampala. The Jugula channel, Nachivubo, around St. Balikudembe market has raised controversies with KCCA team saying Ham Enterprises was not approved prior to the start of the construction of a building on the channel. Now, on the 18th of November, KCCA issued a letter to Ham Enterprises stopping the construction. The order required halting of works within 7 days, which was not effected. The available letter to the media written on 18th November by KCCA says that the developer asserts the existence of building plans issued in 2017, which KCCA says is no longer valid. Now, KCCA's Executive Director Frank Rusa and the team, together with Ham Enterprises, agreed that all works at the construction site be halted to allow clear analysis of the site, assess the construction works and impact on the neighboring infrastructure. Earlier on, KCCA's building committee leaders, flanked by the Secretary of Human Resource and Administration, John Sebuwufu, attempted to serve a stop order to Ham Enterprises, which is behind the construction. Now, the KCCA team, upon arrival at the site, took off after being attacked by the guarding at the site. Now, Ham Enterprises says CAF inspection team came and told them that Nachivubo Stadium surroundings must be up to the standard with channels around the infrastructure well built, as Ham is also looking at ensuring that the Ham Stadium is also considered for the Pamoja bid 2027 African Cup of Nations. And now we look at the forex rates and see how the various currencies were faring on the exchange by close of business yesterday. Opening time, the US dollar was buying at 3,669.27 while selling at 3,679.27. Closing time, it was buying at 3,676.23 while selling at 3,686.23. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,649.69 while selling at 4,662.37. Euro was buying at 3,866.23 while selling at 3,876.77. The Kenyan shilling closed the buying at 28.32 while selling was 28.40. And then the Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.37 shillings while selling at 1.38 shillings. The South African rand was buying at 204.33 shillings while selling at 204.89 shillings. I'll be back tomorrow with the latest from the world of business. Olive Monica Najuma is here with the traffic updates. Good morning.
Well, it's a beautiful day. The weather is beautiful as well. So let's get into the traffic updates. I'm Olive Monica Najuma, and we are starting off right in Boise along the Naweru Road intersection into the main Kampala-Gulu Highway. Now, a few minutes ago, the road coming from Naweru transitioning into the Kampala-Gulu Highway was red right at the intersection, but now I see that has now turned into a yellow zone, indicating that there is a bit of traffic jam, but not too much. Now, moving on and looking at the Kampala-Gulu Highway as we now try to move on into the areas of Sir Apollo Kagwa Road. Let's see how that looks like. For those going to the side of Kalere, there is smooth flow of traffic, and of course those that are coming in from the same side as well. Going to Bomba Road, I see that there is smooth flow of traffic, at least at the juncture from the northern bypass right in Boise. Continuing with the route that is Sir Apollo Kagwa Road, I see that Nafumbambi Road has a bit of traffic jam that is coming in through, but when you join the main Sir Apollo Kagwa Road, there is smooth flow of traffic, and Muganzi Awongera Road, it has smooth flow of traffic if that's the part of town from which you are coming from or where you are headed. Now, following the route of Sir Apollo Kagwa Road, what I see is a smooth flow of traffic. Now, I'd like to see what it looks like at the intersection with Makerere Road. But before that, there is a bit of traffic jam around Chimera Road and just that intersection with Sir Apollo Kagwa Road. Nafumbambi Road is still bringing in smooth flow of traffic, and continuing now at the intersection right outside Full Gospel Church, what I see is a traffic jam that is coming through from Makerere Road. That is the road that brings you from Nankulabye. Here we have a traffic jam, though it could be because of the traffic lights. Now, if you're to follow Makerere Road to head into Wandegea, I see that we have smooth flow of traffic over there. Continuing with Sir Apollo Kagwa Road, we still have smooth flow of traffic, but then there is a bit of traffic jam along Chadondo Road, and LDC Road has a bit of traffic jam, though not intense. And looking at Sir Apollo Kagwa again, as we move forward now to the areas of Bakuli, here we will encounter intense traffic jam, especially around the intersection that connects you to boundary C1, which takes you to the areas of Mengo. And then I see that we have traffic jam coming through from the areas of Nankulabye, then Salo Road, the areas of Hoima Road, that is Nankulabye as well. And then looking at other roads within the area, there is a bit of traffic jam on Old Kampala Road, and of course along Fort Road. Namirembe Road looks okay, and Gaddafi Road has a bit of traffic jam just around that roundabout along that connects you to Gaddafi and Rashid Khamis Road. Martin Road looks pretty clear, and if we are to go further, I see that General Road, Martin Road again, and Rashid Khamis are also looking pretty clear. Well, that does it for our traffic updates for the day. Enjoy Wednesday, and Good Morning Uganda is still continuing. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by...
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, assigned Uganda Prison Service a task to produce food and animal feeds. This was a directive of July 2022 to Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to allocate land to Uganda Prison Service for food production. The allocation totaled to 50,000 acres, in which 30,000 acres is maize grain, 10,000 acres soya beans, and 10,000 acres sorghum.
Areas allocated to Uganda Prison Service include Aswa Farm in Pade District, northern part of Uganda.
This is Aswa Farm, originally from Aswa Ranches, land which was handed over to Uganda Prison Service by Ministry of Agriculture for food security intervention, and which came in as a necessity by the government program. And this one arose out of the food scarcity that was happening in the country, and the government through my felt that we should produce food. And this intervention includes Uganda Prison Service.
Bush clearing here started on the 10th of October 2022, and it is progressing on well. Apparently we have covered acreage of 1,000 acres, which is being prepared.
Uganda Prison Service embarked on an ambitious effort to transform access to Aswa group of prisons, and in so doing is bridging gap for local communities. The construction of new roads and bridges has significantly improved accessibility to the facility, paving way for enhanced economic opportunities and sustainable development.
Manager as a technical person in this place. It's a new farm among the new farms which are introduced for food security, and we are seated on an acreage of about 30,000 acres.
As of now, about 2,000 acres is under cultivation for commercial maize production, with several harvests already realized over time. Additionally, storage facilities are being established to ensure efficient handling and distribution of produce.
We are happy that in the neighborhood of Rugole, we are putting a silo, which is going to be a bulk storage, and whole produce from here can be evacuated and taken to Rugole.
An agricultural engineer deployed in Rugole Prison Farm. I am most welcome to Rugole Prison, and this is the silo project, which has a capacity of 3,000 metric tons. It is meant to help in improving the storage capacities and also improving on the post-harvest handling mechanisms.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Just 5 minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono. That is in case you've just joined, because we were here from 6:30 doing what we do best, ensuring that you're well versed with what is happening locally and internationally, but also creating some light moments here and there to spice up, to cherish, to brighten your morning. Now, in the agenda today, we want to focus on strengthening institutional circles against loan sharks. Now, most of the times, many of us, there's a point where you need money. And truth be told, you don't have that money. Now, what comes to you is, let me get a loan. You want to move in the bank, usually the procedure is very long. But they are these friends of ours in desperation, enemies in happiness. You take a goat, you pay a cow. Or they give you a rabbit, they want a cow. Now, because they do things very fast, you're tempted to go to a money lender, either registered, no wonder number are not registered, but they expedite the process for you. What do you have on table? I have a car. How much is the car? Around 48 million. Well, how much are we giving you? 7 million. You bring the card, make an agreement that you have sold to us. Make another one that you've taken a loan. Now, when you ask for the figure you put, they'll tell you, brother, you can't put 7 million. Because in case you fail to pay, definitely if we can't say we bought your car, you sold your car to us at 7 million. Put 48 million, the value of the car. Now, because you're desperate, you run and get that money. At the end of the day, you can't take 7 million and you want to pay it back. Sometimes you're unable. They take the car and you cry, my vehicle was taken at 7 million. Or they may change and say, well, this is the agreement we have. You've brought 7 million, but actually we gave you 48 million. So it all becomes a problem. But our government okayed a process known as cooperatives, the cooperative model. And it's common today when we talk about these credit, savings, and cooperative associations in our country, the circles. So today we want to look at how do we strengthen these circles. That instead of going to a money lender, these loan sharks, I just go to my circle and get money. Join me, welcome my guests in studios this morning. I have two people who are so much into the cooperative model. Join me, welcome a man from the Mwalimu Circle. Don't know if you've heard of that before, one of the successful circles. And I know their net worth is even bigger than some commercial banks, I must say. Join me, welcome Robert Odong, who happens to be the business development manager at Mwalimu Cooperative Union. You're most welcome, Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Robert.
Good to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here this morning and share with the nation about the cooperative business model and the advantages to us of the loan sharks who are harassing our people left, right, and center.
And just next to me is Ms. Hayinza Justin, who is the head of partnerships, Uganda Cooperative Alliance. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chiraba, and good morning, viewers. Yes, I'm also happy to contribute to this topic of strengthening our institutional circles, especially against those money lenders with their unfavorable conditions. So.
Now, I'll straightly go to my namesake this morning. First, when we talk about the Mwalimu Union, briefly let our viewer know what is this and also how relevant is it to the topic of discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Mwalimu Cooperative Union was a circle created by UNATO in about 2015 when they had an industrial action. And His Excellency, the President, in his wisdom, gave Mwalimu 25 billion shillings for onward lending to teachers in the country.
That is for government?
For government.
Yeah, teachers in government schools.
Teachers in government payroll. Both primary school teachers and secondary school teachers and even universities and colleges. So the union has kept this portfolio and it has grown in the billions and the money is still there. And at first we gave that money to teachers' circles in the districts and in the schools, because you'll find a school like maybe Nabamali High School or Zambia, they have a circle. So they come to Mwalimu and Mwalimu lends them money to give to the teachers who are their members. So the system worked very well, but during COVID, there was a problem because there was no business in between there. So we somehow declined, but the board and management changed and said, okay, our ultimate goal is to serve the teacher. And eventually they designed what we call a personal development loan that irrespective of your membership to the circle, respective circles in the country, who number about 185 that belong to Mwalimu. We can still through your circle, or you can come directly and Mwalimu gives you money. One, you must be on government payroll. And somehow it has helped teachers a lot. That when a teacher wants to borrow money, so long as you're on a government payroll and we have a software, you just download and go to your employer, usually in the district, the chief administrative officer, to guarantee you, and you get a loan. And somehow this has helped teachers. But nevertheless, there's high affinity for loans, that besides even that money, teachers countrywide still go to loan sharks who retain their ATM cards, national ID, academic credentials, mention it. And the government recently came in and said it is a criminal to retain somebody's national ID because of a loan. And we are here to still address that, teachers and all institutional circles, that there's goodwill. And this is the time that we develop institutional circles, especially like now for Mwalimus, guest teachers, and even other civil servants, and even other institutions like the churches. Instead of, okay, you'll find that maybe a church leader, a reverend or a reverend father, going to borrow money from a loan shark who may embarrass a man of God.
This very year we saw a story of a priest who ended up even killing someone.
Yes, you know, that is embarrassing, and you know, it tarnishes the name of the institution. Let us establish circles, in our respective institutions, be it in a church, in a community, like now the PDM has gone to the community. That's an institution, because we are at the parish level. Instead of being harassed, government has helped us to establish the PDM circles at the parish, and it has funded it 100 million in a quarter. It's not small money. So I encourage like people, even in my parish in Amonkakene, in Busia, I told them that this is an opportunity. Who can give you 100 million? Who can give you a SAC 100 million in Uganda now? This is a good gesture. So what our people need to do, let us go and join those circles. Joining means you pay membership fee so that we know you're a member. Number two, own it. Owning means you buy a share so that you own it. Number three, save with the circle, because the name is a savings and a credit. Save. Doesn't matter how much you get. Like I was with the friends a couple of days ago. They said, doesn't matter how much you earn. What is important in Uganda today, how much do you save per month? You may earn millions of shillings, but if you don't save, you can still be in trouble. Whereas an ordinary person who's just maybe earning less than 10,000 per day, but eats 5 or uses 5,000 to cater for the family, but saves 5, is far better than you who earns millions. So that culture of saving is what we want to develop, propagate among our people, that we don't have that high affinity for loans to be exploited, and it has caused a lot of trouble. You know, people running up and down, don't picking calls, not staying in their houses, you know, being harassed, loan sharks harassing you, you know, bringing trouble and removing peace from the wananchi. I'm happy even the government saw that, because there was a public outcry. And now they are trying to control. The people I'm talking about are the money lenders, the loan sharks, who do not have a license, as you explained, Robert. They give you, you give them, okay, they give you a goat, but expect a cow. You get it? You have a land title or a land agreement, and you're just borrowing maybe 1 million. They'd say, no, you write the agreement that you have sold us your land. I mean, it looks unbelievable. That's why I am happy even the Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Kasaija, is intervening. Because there's a public outcry.
Definitely there is.
Parliament is intervening, there's a public outcry. And yet the people who are being harassed, these are the wananchi, these are the common people. You may have a need, like, you know, we live in a money economy. But it's not a crime to borrow money. But we should be orderly, so that when you borrow 5,000, you pay maybe 6,000. You know, like that, and in an orderly manner. But you'll find you don't sign an agreement, and you know they don't appraise the loan. Sign here, bring your car. Robert, bring your car, park it there. You know, bring your logbook. I see it. And you know, this has been because our friends, commercial banks, found us a bit risky. we are risky. They cannot give you a loan. If you go to a commercial bank to get a loan, even the microfinance institutions, let us photograph your face this way. Let us do this. You lift your hand up. Put it, you know, let us photograph you in front of your car or in front of your house. I mean, what an embarrassment.
Yes.
Whereas
and sometimes the entire village will
really know. And now you're borrowing money to pay your daughter's fees in university. Then your daughter says here, being photographed inside the house. So bring your wife here. This, you know, what an embarrassment.
Well, now this takes me to Justin here. When we talk about strengthening circles, first and foremost, Robert has been very eloquently explaining the value of these circles. But much as we have so many circles in Uganda today, we don't have the right statistics because even yesterday there could be one registered. How we need to take Ugandans through the basic principles of forming these circles. Because fellow Ugandans, I must say, we side on a wrong note as a country. How? His Excellency had the right vision about circles in this country. Now, we had politicians who politicized this and told people that you're forming circles to get government money. Now, if you listen to Robert explaining, it didn't have that connotation anywhere. That we come together, save amongst ourselves, like we are three here, make that pool. Then we borrow. Because on my own, I may not be able to raise 20 million and have a pool. But when we together bring, if we are 4, 5, we have 20 million. If today I can borrow 10 and I'm bring back 14, our cap now has moved from 20 to 24. If tomorrow she takes the 5 and brings 6, so you end up having a chunk of money, and when you continue to borrow, your circle grows. But what do we do in a time when people formulated to get money? I think we must look at these grassroots principles for successful circles. Justin, take us through that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chirabo. And I love today's topic. When we talk about a circle under Section 63 of the Cooperative Societies Act, Cap 107, is defined as a financial, it's a cooperative, a financial cooperative, a cooperative in financial nature. For circles, they deal into financing, lending, mobilizing members to save, and issues around finance. So when we are to trace, we have come a long way as Ugandans. We get back to Mobende Mistodeke, you know this history, 1913 with the Chinakulyas. Then during the times before we got the ordinance, actually that time, even the lending money, the financial institutions at that time, the colonial time, in the start of the colonial times, they would only lend to Asians, to foreigners, not Ugandans. Actually, it was even illegal. The ordinance which was made, they should not lend to Africans. And that's how now, as Ugandans, people came up with ideas. What do we do? So then that's how we saw the saving and the saving circles and a credit bank come up in the 1940s. This was because Africans, the Ugandans could not access finances in the financial institutions at that time because the colonialists, of course, were protecting the economic element of the government. They wanted to be in charge of controlling the economy. So they made it hard for Ugandans to access. But eventually, when that bank, the cooperative bank was formed, the savings and credit bank, actually that's how at first it was, when it was formed, it was to help the Africans, the Ugandans, access finance for their enterprises. Of course, it was mostly agriculture. But when we saw also when Governor Cohen came in, at least the laws were relaxed, because even that ordinance which was first made, yes, they established the office of the registrar, too much, of course, the powers were vested into the registrar, but the colonialists at the time, of course, had stringent measures, and we didn't see many of our Ugandans register. We didn't see them register with under that given ordinance. So that's how they came up with their own. And eventually, when Andrew Cohen came in, he tried to enlighten, to tell tonight about the cooperative, the principles. First of all, in our circles, people are free, it's open and free membership. People should be open to get in, to get out at will, democratic member control. We should elect our own leaders. And when we've elected the leaders, what next? As cooperators, these are global principles, said we should have economic empowerment. And this is part of the pillar that we are talking about, because we want to see how can our members in these circles be economically independent, how can they be, empowered. Then about autonomy is the next. We should be free as circles. We should run our businesses as circles with limited interference. And that's what was happening in the colonial times. We could not apply that principle of autonomy. So now we said enough was enough, and then we had the education and training as part of the principle, much as we are now, yes, we've gotten together, and that's why we bring in topics. We thank you, BC, so much, because you've given us a good platform. I'm coming from Uganda Cooperative Alliance, the apex body of cooperatives in the country. We do capacity building, we do arbitration, We are a voice in the issues affecting cooperatives in the country. And we thank you so much for this platform, because the country is vast. We couldn't move everywhere and reach out, but given such a platform, we reach out to many, and we are getting so many of our members, the unions, you know, the area cooperative enterprises on board. So as we're talking about that principle of autonomy, training and education information, this is what we are doing here. We have cooperation among cooperatives. We cooperate, that's why you see Walim is here. Personally, I also belong to Uganda Parliamentary Circle, but we compare notes. We are here saying under institutional circles like Walimu, like maybe the lawyers, those are institutional, the parish development who they talked about. How do we support each other? So when we come to the alliance as our PEX body, we share. We actually even have a working group which has Uganda Cooperative Alliance, Uganda Union of Circles, Walimu is a member, just some key partners who come together to deliberate on the issues. Yes.
How do we build strong circles? I think that is the biggest question.
Yes.
So that I don't need to run to a loan shark, but I can run to my circle, having known that there are some mistakes in the foundation. You know, when I was growing up, for many things, my father usually used the word, but how was your foundation?
Yes.
If you tell him, Daddy, this, and says, my son, Musinji gwali gutya. If the foundation is wrong, then why do you think you're going to have straight walls and then roof properly? So the foundation of our circles.
Yes.
I think also, Robert, you supplement.
Yes.
How do we bring back, because this is a very important issue.
It's important, Mr. Chirag.
If we found a circle for government to give us money, that circle may have challenges growing. It will end with, I've seen circles where government injected money and the money was spent because they didn't understand the entire thing, and now they have nothing. Some are hiding. Now the president in Teso sub-region has talked about denying bail for those things. So some are hiding, some are going to hide for real.
True.
Now, how do we build this?
So, Mr.
Just
Chirag, like you said, that if the Bible says so, if the foundations are shaky, then you don't expect the house to stand. So, as Uganda Cooperative Alliance, capacity building is one of our core mandate. We are supposed to bring together the cooperatives, the unions, the cooperators, and we digest the issues. So now we identify this issue of the loan sharks and want to strengthen our institutions. And within the dialogue we had before booking in this program, we brainstormed, we said, now what can we do? Because for us to have our members not go to the sharks, then we have to put mechanisms in place. For instance, how do we need, first of all, a research. Yes, we've done research, we have some findings, that's how we come up with this. We discovered like this is a strong problem in the cooperatives, in the circles. So one of the issues I would look at is financial literacy. If we would engage our members, if we would have us as leaders of the cooperatives build capacity, now that takes us to our pillar of training, education and information. If we would teach them the culture of saving, we need to promote, because when you look at section 63 of the Cooperative Societies Act, yes, a circle is to mobilize members to save, for them to lend to them, and as leaders, we have a structure in cooperatives, and of course, a circle is a cooperative, as I told you. So within our structures, we have the boards, we have the AGM, the board, the supervisory, even sub-boards of the committees. Personally, I'm a member of the credit committee of the Uganda Parliamentary Circle. We even have the investment committee. So we also need to strengthen our subcommittees. The investment committee, if we are now a circle, how are we growing the savings of members? Members of the investment committee should be able to brainstorm. We should find alternatives. Maybe we've saved too much. We could look at maybe investment in unit trusts, government bonds, and treasury. But it's upon us as leaders in these circles to be innovative enough to see how we can grow these savings. Because if we have enough money, if the liquid is enough, we have enough money, why would our members go out? And then on the other hand also, we need to look at our rates. Maybe our rates are not favorable. The terms in which we operate as circles. Because now the question you're asking, why would our members not borrow within the circles and they are going to the money shacks? So we need to revise our rates. We need to look into our rates. Are they favorable? And you know the rates keep changing with the economic conditions as well. So we should not have a constant, you know, after even some of these monies belong to the members. So we can also look into say, how can we make the rates friendly? How can we empower these people in the culture of saving? How can we also, you know, have them appreciate, you know, the beauty of borrowing within? How can we make, and even us as leaders of circles, we should encourage good principles, transparency, accountability. Don't they have enough faith in our circles that they have to go out? So these are the questions that we ask ourselves as leaders. And when we come out, we want to reach out, we appeal to leaders to be transparent. Our systems are clear. We have the annual general meeting where we're supposed to account. We do audits. Section 71 is about auditing in the cooperatives. So we need to have promote good cooperative practices, that members' confidence will be built in the circles, and eventually they will keep within, they will appreciate. If it's products, let's modify, let's diversify actually, because maybe we are only sticking on lending, saving, but maybe people might want emergency loans, and at times people mostly go to money shacks when there is an emergency. But you can find that maybe in our circles we are too rigid, like we don't have such a product. Like someone has an emergency, you know, they are going to a money lender, to a shack, money shack, who is not even registered. By the way, this according to the Tier 4 Microfinance and Money Lenders Act, their regulations, circles are supposed to be registered. I think Mr. Odeke from section 35 almost to 60 talks about circles. And yes, so we are supposed to have people who are into the learning business. They should be registered. But sometimes you find people who are not even regulated. They don't have any guidelines. And like you talked before, there's so much documentation. And you know, when you have a problem, you may not have the time to read through from page 1 to page 20. You want the money very fast. So we also need our people to understand those terms and conditions of the loans, the processes and the
Now this takes me to Robert. Justin has mentioned a number of things. Training, transparency, but my concern now is how do we grow
these institutional circles?
First, in terms of the monies. 2, people owning these circles. So they just don't look at them as, I have my money somewhere. But this is a circle, we must grow it. I've seen circles that have operated on 20 million. Forever. 5 years down the road, we still have our 20 million. No increase, not touched. What happens? People are lent according to what they have there. That rigidity. If you have 10 million, my brother, no, if you have 5 million there, we can't lend you beyond the 5 million that you have there. And at times, people disassociate. It's like, let me keep my money there. You never know, you never know. So the circle is staying with the money, very accurate, you bring, but there's no development. What they're having is keeping the money. So it's very hard for someone to stay tight into there. So how do we build these monies to increase, but also how do we bring ownership? Because for successful circle, ownership must be seen. A circle must be, I usually tell friends, a circle must be felt in your bloodstreams, flowing. That is when you know that you have a very strong circle. Yes, Robert.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robert. There is the issue of confidence, just building on what Honorable Justin has said. Do the members really feel this is their own? Like UBC staff, if they have a circle, they really feel this is our own. We still have a problem that when you form a circle, an institutional circle, for instance, in UBC here, somebody says that is Robert's circle. If you're the chair, that is Robert's circle. They do not own it. And when you say, okay, can we save money to be able to help you in the future? He puts 5,000. I say, but I'm saving. I saw this just recently. I was in Pakwachi training teachers of Pakwachi district. And in their bylaw, they also put 5,000, 10,000. Then I said, now, you're a teacher. on the government payroll. The science teachers are now earning 4 million, isn't it? How do you save 10,000? And what do you expect from 10,000? So what I'm saying is that we want to appeal to our people to appreciate that this is their room, so that you save money there and you feel you're saving money there. And you grow the savings, because where do circles expect to get money? It is from within ourselves. Yeah. That's why that principle of self-help, that we identify that we have a need in our community. Let us save. So that instead of running to Honorable, say, lend me 1 million, I go to the circle. Honorable puts money where? In the circle. Yeah. Robert puts money in the circle. So when I go there, I get the money. So that kind of principle is what we are trying to teach our people. But what has happened in Uganda today, there's lack of confidence in our own institutions. So we need to build that confidence. We need to restore integrity in our leadership. We need to restore hope in our people. Because people usually don't trust so much. Say, Robert is the chairman. You know, you see. But once he has elected you, see, you elected the chair, and you said, I am the chair. This is not my project. This is our thing. I have come in, I'm putting also my money there, and I also borrow from there. So let us encourage our leaders also to borrow from the circles. Like, for instance, the parliamentary circle Honorable has talked about. Parliamentarians should save in their circle, should borrow from their circle. Why, for heaven's sake, would loan sharks harass honorable members of parliament? And they are hiding, you know, in the corridors of parliament, you know,
We've heard such stories.
You know,
taking
that.
To an extent, yes.
It's embarrassing. Whereas their circle is there. So when they save in their circle, they borrow from their circle. We call it patronizing their circle. Eventually, the circle will grow. And so that eventually you'll find what it takes our people to loan sharks. Emergency, as the Honorable said. But we encourage most circles to, like others who have developed, Walimo does, Wazalendo does, Exodus does, and these are the big circles. You have that what we call emergency loan. Now, emergency does not follow the normal procedure. Please apply, please this, guarantor. No. Robert, you call the treasurer. I am in a Kampala. They need 500,000. Because you are a member, because you are the owner of the circle, the treasurer just touches a button and you get the 500. For instance, you tell them, my child is out of school because they want money, supposed to do exams. It's okay. Quickly, give us the code. Then we sort out in our circle. So that kind of culture, I want our people to appreciate that the institutional circles or the circles, the cooperative business model has come to help us remove that kind of, how would I call it? Embarrassment and restore our human dignity. That once you need some money, I don't need to go call friends here and there. So, you know, but you say, Robert works. Why is he calling us? But when I go to my circle, it is my room, which means I'm the owner of the circle. I only inform the treasurer or the manager, please, 2 million for this. And the processes and pays the fees for the child. Then we sort out. That kind of system is what we are seeing, that we can strengthen these circles, institutional circles, right from our communities. Once we tell our community members that, please, this is your room. This is not President Museveni's project. This is your own. This PDM is your own. Save, borrow. What happens when the money that you have given 1 million away and you pay back? What happens? It is to give us what we call institutional capital, that we have 100 million we have lent out, and we need to strengthen so that those people who pay back, again, we lend actually. I believe with sometimes so that we have the capacity now to lend to other people who have not borrowed. And so that there is some confidence in the community. What we call a fallback position. Somebody does not say, what do I do? There's a calamity. I've lost a loved one. What do I do? But because of that, that social structure, we save there, we borrow there. When we lose the loved one, our members come, the chairman writes a letter. We had with the shock, of maybe the demise of your loved one. We have here 500,000 for you. And we are also here. You see that kind of confidence.
Yes,
so somebody does not have the ag, say, okay, what do? Do I run to loan checks? No, I should call the chairman, my chairman of the circle. I should call the treasurer, the manager. They are there for me. Now you see, that kind of confidence once we develop, and we develop these institutional circles.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Decker, you talked about, he talked about, he gave an example of a circle where in their laws for them, they said, for us in Kabera, you said Kabera Maido, we are saving 5,000. So now this one also made me reflect on the laws, the regulation laws, the policies. Of course, for us to have our circles grow and, you know, members to have confidence, it takes us also back to the issue of regulations, the policies. As circles, as cooperatives, we should have policies in place. These are our guiding documents. Like the church can have a Bible. Now, this is what we should have. We should move on. If you're a circle, what is your loan policy? What does it say? Your investment policy. So we would also encourage our circles, our cooperatives in general, to have policies in place. These are our guiding documents. Like I told you, we even have subcommittees, the investment committees of the board, credit committee of the board. What are they operating upon? At times, maybe some members don't have this written down. We need to have it written. The Bible says, write down the vision and run with it, that, you know, you don't forget. So as institutions, as circles, we need to have our policies in place because these are our guiding documents and these are areas that we shall also use to evaluate on the growth. And they will give members confidence, knowing that if I join this circle, at least there's even room, if when the AGM, they can make proposals, there's a board in place. Maybe if there are new sources of investment proposals, they can propose to the board and maybe the AGM, they forward to AGM for adoption. So if we have the regulations, the laws in place, and if we also abide by the existing laws, we have the Cooperative Societies Act, it's a guiding principle for us. So we should abide by that so that we have the confidence of our members and also security for the money saved with us.
Robert, one other issue. Why does the community or the population not trust the circles? You're a member, for instance, of a parliamentary circle, you don't save there, but your money is in the bank somewhere. And this is your circle. There's a problem of governance, the leadership of these circles. And usually, I think, what happened, the people trust religious leaders more. Then they trust cultural leaders in that hierarchy. At least do they trust these politicians, you say, they say your statement. But we want the leaders of circles. If you're a chairman, you're a board member, you're a committee member, you're a vetting committee, you're a supervisory board, you're any other committee there, know that I am working for the people. This is not my own. This is stewardship. We call it stewardship. Exactly. You're taking care of community money. For instance, you've been elected chair of UBC Circle here. They have maybe 1 billion shillings. Tell them this 1 billion is not for me. It is for us, but I'm a custodian. I'm taking care. If you want it, please process like this. At the end of the year, we come and explain it to you. But somehow, I think because of our background, because we came from a background, you know, people either trying to make ends meet, even in our own projects, and somehow the community, the members have lost trust, and that's why even it's not opening up. When you have a problem, we are intending now to say, okay, the circles are not only for money. Every time we meet, money. No, there's a social element of it. We come together, not only for money. We need you as a person to guide us, we fellowship. You tell us, what is your project? I say, I'm going for poultry. Okay, Let us talk to another brother who has managed poultry for a long time now, 10 years. Can't they benchmark with that person before you begin a poultry? So we give advice one another. Usually what happens, because we take long to meet, formally or informally, that's why our members stray. So, but we need to strengthen that. It happens even at a family level. When you always meet at a family altar, you'll find you keep members together.
But Mr.
Than when you don't even, whether the child comes and picks food, Robert, then it goes to their bedroom and eat from the bedroom.
That brings again, now as leaders, that's what we ought to do. That's why we have that training, education. But of course, we know that as members of the AGM, we're supposed to meet annually. So, but for us as board members, that is our role now, to make sure we are doing the right thing.
This takes me to something.
Yes.
You see, I have a problem with you elite people. Is we don't go down to understand the actual Ugandan. You're talking of annual general meeting. You're talking of a board. What else did you talk about? Committees. Now here for us we are. Now let's go to Kasoga Kaputo, where my grandfather is.
Yes.
Let's go to those rare places. For us, we are doing an activity burning charcoal. However illegal it is, we are still doing it. For us, we are beekeepers. For us, we are in a dairy. There has been so much sensitization, maybe. For us, we are border riders.
Yes.
Because the people that have their circles. Now, Christine, how do we form a circle to that level? Because when the border riders, they have been fleeced by the loan sharks we are talking about. Let's leave the Mwalimus, the Wazalendo, the UBC circle, if at all it is there. That let's go to this person and look at him. How do they form their circle? How do they manage to grow it in terms of money? Because for them, they may not have. And you'll find one who brought the vision, let me call it a vision.
Yes.
Member. And that one person may even say, Chintu Changi, it is my thing. So how do we help that person?
Now, simple, Robert. And oftentimes members of the public have been fleeced. Somebody comes and says, give me 500,000, I help form for years circle. And yet it is a simple procedure. Registration of a circle, to get a registration certificate, is only 50,000 shillings, which you pay in the bank, and they go with that receipt or bank slip to the registrar. The bylaws are already in a place. Draft bylaws. In Uganda Cooperative Alliance is there. You just buy a copy or a set of 4 copies, and I think at 32,000. You know, already there, so that you only fill in the name. You fill in Kaputo, border riders circle, Owino Market, Wilibaro Pushers circle. You only fill in the name. And the law says you must be at least 30. Now 30 active members, you fill in that bylaw. After filling it, then you need to put in that bylaw how much are you paying as members. What we call a membership fee. How much, what is the value per share? You also put there, maybe 20,000, membership maybe 10,000. How much will you be saving per month or per week? Maybe 100,000 or 20. Let's talk of about 10. Then when you collect that, and remember, the members, the 30 members must sign those bylaws. They must attach their national identity cards, copies, photocopies of national IDs. And usually when you fill that, you take to the district commercial officer to endorse, and will help you with the rest to write an application to the registrar to register you. Because the registrar in Kampala may not know you in Kakutu. But once the district commercial officer, either for Rakai, comes in and endorses an application with the bylaws attached, with the national IDs of the members, you get with the statement of affairs that shows the difference between a cooperative, a circle, and like a company. A cooperative, government or the law says you can begin it before registration. So the registrar is interested to know, is it viable Are members there? Have they paid membership? Have they bought shares? Are they saving? Even borrowing, are they borrowing? Then that one we call a statement of affairs. The commercial officer knows how to make. Just a statement. So this is a total membership fee, total savings, total shares, and so forth that may be spent like this. They've been lent out a loan to this tune. It will send all of those documents, a schedule of documents to the registrar with that bank pay-in slip of 50,000 and give the registrar just about 2 weeks. And they will be registered. But the registration there, we call it a temporary, a provisional registration certificate for 2 years. So that when you find you operate very well, you go back to the registrar, then it gives you a permanent registration certificate.
Well, viewer, now that is the journey of forming a circle. And one very thing we are sure of, if you have strong circles in this country, then people will not go for loan sharks. If we have them as institutions, if you have them as groupings, and I know that we shall sail smoothly. But time seems to be flying. I'll just give each of my guests a minute to have their parting shot. And let me begin with Justin.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Chirabo, and our dear viewers. We value cooperatives, we value circles, so we encourage Ugandans to adopt, to fit in the existing cooperatives. Let's use the cooperative model towards development. It's an avenue to pull our own money. It's an avenue we can share ideas, and we move forth economically. It's a grassroots tool we can use to empower our citizens economically.
Yes, Robert.
Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you, viewers. The final appeal is the ground is now very clear. The laws are there in place. There's goodwill from government. So let us strengthen our circles where we are, be it at the community level, the PDM, be it in our churches, be it in our workplaces, on our places of business. Join and be part of it and strengthen it, and actually be active so that eventually we do not get into trouble, but our colleagues, our friends there will save us, and that should be a fallback position. And we shall grow so that we make Uganda shine again.
Well, I just want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time, but also for this very interesting topic, growing circles, strengthening them so that we avoid loan sharks. They have taken so much of ours, yet we can now make our own money, save this money, grow the capital in this circle, and borrow from our circles and not go to those that will give us a goat and then demand a cow. Have a lovely day. That All Man is here to take you through sports updates and also to let us know how we shall eventually come home with the trophy of the African Cup of Nations. See you tomorrow. God bless you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this